Hello and welcome back to Election Time News America. Today is Sunday, November 16th, 2025, and today we're going to be looking into the special election that is happening in not too long from now, the Tennessee 7th Congressional District special election, and this is a lot more competitive than it might have been expected. Election Time News, your one stop for all things elections and politics, from summations to poll reviews and news. Subscribe below for more content like this about American, Canadian, and Australian elections. Also, be sure to follow the Substack, Threads, Instagram, and X, as well as our website, electiontimene.ws, linked in the description below for news feeds and our latest predictions. Remember, there's never a dull moment in politics. So, in the video here, we have a dilemma for the Republicans, and that is that there's a R+20 district that is run that the incumbent has retired. R+20, 21 and a half to be exact. How on earth is that a problem for the Republicans? So this district has had a bit of a history here. And so now we're going back to the point where it was a Democratic gerrymandered state, right? 1976. This is actually a very good map, very fair. Honestly, I believe that is Al Gore's father. Doesn't even say him on here for some reason. There we go, Al Gore. No, that is actually straight up Al Gore. That's where he started his career, 1976, in Tennessee's 4th Congressional District. But anyway, that's not good. Anyway, that's not the concern. So the area is currently right around here. From here up, including this region. And so generally what it encapsulates is this region. Outer Nashville is getting broken up amongst 3 districts to gerrymander a bit. Williamson County with Franklin in it. Dixon County here. Clarksville up to Stewart. And then a little bit over across a bit of Benton County, Decatur, Wayne, and Perry County, along with Humphreys, Houston, just really tiny county there. Cheatham as well. And then Robertson County. Looks like all of it. And so it's a bit of space there. It's in central Tennessee. And so you can see here throughout history there it's kind of its own thing. 84, 86, Democratic gerrymandered state. 1990, you can definitely see that. But then 94 is a red wave. And so it kind of breaks the gerrymander, though. 1996, 1998, Democrats are still in power at this point, though, so they redraw the maps a bit favorably towards them. That is, in fact, current Senator Blackburn. 2004, 2006, things go really well for the Democrats. 2008, even better. And yes, the reason is 2008 Democrats actually won the House vote in Tennessee, but then 2010 completely broke everything for the Democrats here, and the rural vote went very, very hard Republican. And so they only had the Democrats were only left with the one district around Memphis and the one around the large city of Nashville. And so then you go through 2012. A bit of a rebound here in the 4th district, but not enough to really do anything. And the Republicans are able to redraw the maps. So then you had one forced into Memphis and one forced into Nashville, and the rest were drawn out, so Democrats couldn't win any of them. 2016, 2018, barely even any sign of anything there, really. No real signs of life. And there's Green, who was the candidate for a while, but you can see it's a bit gerrymandered there. But then 2022 gets even worse, and they break up Nashville into 3 separate districts. Ogle's 13.5, Tennessee 7th, there's Green, and there's Rose. And then we come to 2024. Ogle's wins by 17.5, Rose by 36, Green by 21.5. So wins by 21.5. How on earth is this a problem for the Republicans? Well, what else has happened so far in 2025? First off, let me look earlier in the year for the races like this. You see, okay, what happened in Florida in the House races there. And so then you see, oh, Well, there was the first district, and it was a very Republican district. If we go look at the first district in 2024, Gates won by 32.1, and then he had to resign in disgrace. Same thing, Waltz then became the National Security Advisor. He also won, but he won by 33.1%. And so both of these candidates very, very strong. What happened? Patronus got less votes. Then there were registered Republicans that showed up to vote, which means that Gay Valamont got votes from Republicans. That's just how math works. And she only lost by 14. 32 minus 14, just quick math there, right? It's not too difficult. 32 minus 14 is 18 points of overperformance. 18 points. 6th district. The exact same day, right? Concurrent special election on the 6th congressional district. Randy Fine against Josh Whale. We have 56.68% minus 42.69%. That is a 14-point margin. 14 percentage points. It was 33.1. 33.1. That is 19 points of overperformance. And those are just those 2 congressional districts. 19. Now all of a sudden that makes that a 2-point margin in this district. So maybe that's a bit why they're concerned. Let's look at the governorships. Earlier this year, we had elections in Virginia and New Jersey. New Jersey by 14. Virginia by 15. Maybe there's a bit of reason why the Republicans are a bit concerned about this district. And also, Democrats are putting money into it as well. So that is why this even matters. Okay, that's why this is even competitive. Now let's look at the candidates. So basically what we have here is a somewhat populist Democrat, Aftyn Ben, and I'm not 100% sure where she came from, state representative. She was state representative from the 51st district, which is generally probably centralized around Nashville. So that's how she's in this district. And so she has some notoriety in the district already. I don't get what's wrong with the borders here. She has some notoriety in the district already. She has some name recognition where she needs to pile up votes right around in this area, right? And that's why she won in Williamson County, is because that's where she's from. She's from this region. She's also a bit from over here. That's why she did well in Davidson County. She won a pretty contested primary. She only won by 3%, but she did well enough that, it's still a pretty good win, right? And so, I mean, interestingly, Dixie ended up winning Davidson County and then got 4th place, but, they were all very close, and she kind of slightly pulled ahead of them. But, point is, she did pretty well here. And this is where she's from, and that's where you need to get a bit of votes from. It's this ex-urban-esque county. If she's able to perform well there, then it's going to do well. And also, Davidson County is going to be important. Now, Matt Van Epps is a former commissioner of the Tennessee Department of General Services. He is not currently in office, but, again, he's held public office before, and he won basically every single county in the entire region. He did very well in a lot of these outer suburban regions here as well against Jody Barrett, who was 2nd place. Then you had a few other stray candidates out here. The only other one that got 10% was Gino Bull, so she didn't win a single county. So this is the size of the lead. Most of Van Epps' lead actually came from Clarksville area, Montgomery County there. But it's actually pretty interesting. Not that many people showed out in Davidson County compared to that. That's actually the largest vote dump. But not for the Democrats. That just shows the difference of how many Republican versus Democratic voters there are in Nashville area. But so what you end up with here is that basically nobody in Benton County. I mean, that's 150 votes. Anyway. But also, it's a pretty Republican county, so there's not many Democrats there. So what you end up having is a current state office holder, state government office holder versus a former state government office holder. And so now what you end up with is going to be, again, a very competitive contest, especially considering the fact that, again, we're looking at potential strong overperformances. 21.5 points in the 7th district. Again, that is within that error. So now let's finally get to the good stuff. All the explanations out of the way. It only took me 10 minutes. Let's get to the current polling. There's not much. But that's enough. Workbench strategy and impact research. Both of them are Democratic, and both of them were sponsored by Ben's campaign, and she actually found herself down by 8 and down by 10. But then you had one that was sponsored by a Democratic PAC, and that is going to be down by 8 as well. So she's not doing phenomenally, right? But the interesting thing, 3.7%, she's down by 8. That means that the absolute worst case for the Republicans is that they're down by 0.6. They're up by 0.6%, with 3% undecided. 3% undecided. That means that she could win if she gets all those undecideds and maxes out the margin of error, which we've seen before in elections this year. We've seen that in the first district, right? If we look down general election polling, okay, I actually said Whale was ahead by a Republican pollster here, which was very weird. But I mean, in late March, I think that's right around where it was. But here, up by 4. That's actually interesting considering the fact that most of them were honestly pretty rough there. But anyway, Escambia going blue is pretty interesting to see. And there was in fact no polling done here. But again, we've seen that in the governorship elections. We've definitely seen that this year in the governorship elections. If we look at these elections, I'm just going to do this. What you end up with is a 15, now over 15-point margin here. Now turnout actually dropped. Interestingly enough, it went up a good bit in New Jersey. Or we can look there too because its error was egregious. Oh, someone accidentally put a apostrophe there. I don't know why that's italicized and that isn't. This is obviously still in the works. 98% in. Still counting votes in New Jersey. But this is going to be the county map, and Mikey Sherrill was elected projected winner on election night. But that is just under 14%. And so when you look at the polls, ahead by 3, ahead by 2, ahead by 12 in a Democratic poll, which, again, they're probably going to be more accurate. Atlas Intel ahead by 1. SoCal Strategies ahead by 7. Suffolk University ahead by 4. Emerson College by 2 or by 1. So overperform. I said underperform, I meant the polls and I switched. She completely overperformed the polls. Virginia. Polls. Spangler plus 9.7. She did 50% better than that. Right? Qantas Insights, 9. Insider Advantage, 10. Research Co., 8. Trafalgar, 7. Emerson College, 11. Echelon Insights, 12. That's not that far off. Atlas Intel, 9. SoCal Strategies, 10. 13, State Navigate. Insider Advantage Trafalgar by 4. So again, ended up being over 15. So again, when you're talking about how things have gone so far, the polls have been off. It is possible for her to win still. Unlikely. But as of right now, I have this race lean Republican, which is way closer than the Republicans should be wanting it to be, and way closer than, honestly, it should be, considering that Green won by 21.5%. Just a year ago, and it's happening in about 2 weeks. So this is a very, very tight race, a lot tighter than it should be. She's a very strong candidate for this House district. She has a lot of potential, and I couldn't necessarily say, considering what we've seen so far, if I'd be that surprised if she somehow ends up pulling off a win on election day. I wouldn't be surprised either if she ends up losing by a good bit. And by a good bit, I mean less than 5. But like 3. I'd be surprised if she loses by 10 or more. Just because of how considerably close this is so far and the turnout dynamics so far as well. But all of this is just looking worse and worse for Republicans as these low propensity dynamics continue to show themselves. And how are they going to cope with that? As of right now, they're not, and the consequences are glaring. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already. We're almost at 500. Thank you so much again for all the support, and everyone have a fantastic rest of your day.